So if you oh yeah, work your way up. Yeah. Then everyone else is believing the same thing. Start one.
What have you done?
Yeah, I feel like people thought it was this way. Until new research, new research. Say that Helen Keller is correct. You can't fight with a blind and deaf woman. Yeah, exactly. They investigated her brain. She was right.
Let's say you're a month old.
Big words.
Okay. Let's say what's the date? It's the 26th.
Is that going with big words?
Yes,
Big words such as drugs. Quadratic. Watch manipulation TED Talks. Watch Wiki how to manipulate someone. Lily, I'm gonna write down a bunch of those. Fibonacci sequences.
It's already started.
Resting is not going to stop me.
What? One of them is literally.
No, not you.
Remember in D&D, yeah.
This is literally mischievous.
Was that our only session?
No, that we played that, then we had to go to
Okay, that time's up.
That's like a weather thing.
Are we paying attention? You have a 7-minute quiz. It has one question. You're going to complete it, I'm going to time you, and then we're going to go on to the next thing because we need to get through the rest of juxtaposial relationships. What I would like you to do is give your best argument for something you know is a lie, something you genuinely believe could possibly convince someone. We haven't started yet. Or the worst argument. By worst, I mean an argument that would be designed to make sure they didn't believe it, for something that you know is true. So what would be a really bad way to convince something of something's true? I would ask you, however, to be aware of your audience. I don't want anything that would attack people or groups of people. So, for example, I wouldn't want you to give, you know that Holocaust denialism is a thing. I wouldn't want someone to come up with their best argument for that. Stay away from those topics, please. So nothing that refers to people. So stay away from all the isms, you know, racism and misogyny and all those types of things. If you are struggling with that, just stick to a science topic, something that you either know is true or know is false. And if you stick to the facts or non-facts of those, you'll find that a little easier. But if you're doing an ethics one, stay away from people that regard people as a class of things. Okay? Yes? Pardon? Can you do it?
On the document.
No, you cannot, because we've already done it. Though, of course, exempted, because it'd be an extremely easy one to do, is anything about the flat earth. As of now, we've established that it's true. So,
No.
So, nothing about the flat earth. Pick something else.
Can I like make a terrible argument with like like doesn't make sense.
Yes, but it has to be one about something that's true that you will cause someone to disbelieve the thing that you're telling them. Yes. So if you pick something you know to be true, you must make a bad argument for it. If you're that they'll think is a lie, and if you argue for something that you know is a lie, something's true. That's just one argument. I don't want an essay with like multiple points of evidence. One simple argument.
No, I have a question. Can
You're
we, like,
1 second before I do any more questions. Is this a question on the instructions?
yes.
What's the okay?
Can we exaggerate something to the point that it's basically not true?
I am not telling you what you can say. Are you asking me if you're allowed to lie?
Well, no, I know that, but it's like
Of course you're
make
allowed
it
to lie.
better. But like, what are things that kind of true, but you exaggerate it to a point where it's not?
You're allowed to lie. I didn't say you can't lie. I'm starting now. Go. You need your laptop, so it's on here.
Oh, 7 minutes? I better get here.
You can grab your computer. So you can do it. Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to mark it now. Yeah. No. No, it's a quiz.
Yeah, and you're trying to make
Wait,
it
so we just need
with
an example?
You can do
You none of an argument. It can't be flat earth.
I need an argument that shows true?
Something you have to show that something, your best argument for something you know is false, or your worst argument, the most unconvincing argument for something you know to be true.
Not true if you're doing one that's unconvincing?
If you're trying, no, your best argument, but a terrible argument, because there was a lot of arguments they put forward, right? That weren't convincing. Make an argument like that, something you know wouldn't convince them.
Wait, so what's the difference between like a statement and an argument?
Argument has a premise and a conclusion.
So, okay.
All of those little arguments, they had a premise and then they had a conclusion, which was the earth is flat.
So if I have a statement, then I just add a conclusion?
Sure. Yeah, because your argument should be about
I need to
something.
make it a bad argument.
Yes.
It's not true.
Yeah, a very unconvincing one. One that someone may look at it and go, that's totally sus. That's not the word?
Yeah, sus.
Yeah, no cap. If you're not careful, I'll go into 1980s California Valley Girl and say things are totally tubular.
Please.
This is so radical.
It's so radical.
Is
The earth is flat.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
John, people have to focus. It's okay. Remember,
Is it just one sentence?
you believe even more strongly now that Earth is a sphere, right? You don't?
My belief hasn't changed.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Your belief hasn't changed because I challenged it.
That was because of Kraken.
You're just experiencing the backfire effect, and that's okay.
Wait, is it one sentence? Or is
It could be a sentence, yeah. It can be more. Sure. But it should be short. I don't need an essay with 5 paragraphs. Whatever. It can be a paragraph.
Is calling something a fallacy when it's not a fallacy a fallacy? What?
You're thinking about it. You're allowed to say what you want.
Mr. Knows.
Yeah. The argument you're making.
But it's not, that's, no, I'm just like,
Oh, saying something a fallacy. I don't know.
yeah.
Fallacies are informal designations for mistakes in logic. I don't know if anybody's come up with a name for that. I would just say, if you call something a thing and it's not that thing, you're just wrong. That might have a fallacy name. I'll be there. Okay. That's it. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. We just did a whole bunch for flat earth. A whole bunch that people didn't believe over the worst arguments. A whole bunch. You only need one. You can pick one. You don't have to do one of each. Just one.
Should do both.
You could do both.
Is like what we're arguing for if it's bad, does it have to be like 100% true or just something that we believe is?
Something you know to be true. I mean, for all I know, you know things to be true that are actually false, because all of you here believe the earth to be globular. So you already know one thing that isn't true. So I can't say that it has to be true. How would you know? You may have been lied to by previous teachers. I'm not going to mark it. That's a lot of words. I don't want to do that.
This is a lot of work.
That's a lot of words for me to read right now.
Oh, not right now. It's like not.
Do you have a premise? Like, do you have a support for what you're saying is either true? Yeah, so you have an argument.
But I know it's not true.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a bad argument.
Mr. Neufeld, does an argument being short make it even worse of an argument?
I don't know. Does it?
So if I make a really short, crappy, one-sentence argument, is that like gonna get a really good grade because it has to be really bad?
You gotta give me your best version. The
I
best-
have to give you my worst version.
I can't answer that question. I don't want to affect everybody else's arguments based on whether they think it should be or shouldn't be.
Like, I'm in the bullet points, is that fine?
Pardon?
Mine's in bullet points, is that fine?
Yeah, it should be fine. Yeah, bullet points are fine. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. But technically you have 4 minutes and 23 seconds left because I set the timer for 10 minutes, not 7.
Will we get a better grade if you do both?
I don't want people to feel obligated to do both. So, if you have time to do both, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
You can't know. You don't have my permission to read. Okay.
Okay, wrap up. Get what you have into a readable sentence and paste it in. You got about 50 seconds.
Real sentence, Pat. Actually, read mine. That's like 2 paragraphs.
Oh, I want a bit of a.
Paragraphs are fine. An argument may include some backstory. Archie and Kieran, if you could put that away. If you're giggling, laughing. Hand it in.
Reading the
Put it in.
responses.
Shh, people are working. I can hear you. Okay, submit. Put it all in. I'm still waiting for Timmy. You got it submitted? No, submit. Give what you got. Ben? Ben? Submit. Questions?
Are you showing like the names of them
Anderson.
when we talk about them?
It's posted on the Google Classroom. Everybody can read it. It was an ask question. Were you not? Did you not read that? Oh, okay. My apologies. Ava? Almost got that, Timmy?
Let's see if he's technical. William.
You like mine?
Why do you have so much?
Okay, yours is the worst argument by far.
Buddy, what?
Okay, Brandon, yours is the worst argument by
What?
far.
How close, Timmy?
No, because no one's gonna read it.
Put it in.
Where's your laptop? They're required to bring one from the public school. Lost your laptop? I'm gonna sit down and bring it back in. Okay. You don't know where it is? Have you talked to your husband? Talk to your husband.
Okay, put away your laptops. You will have another thing to do with that. But for now, put them away. Put them away. You'll get a chance to read them later. Put them away. Take out your notes.
Nice yolk on there.
I should have worked.
That really ruins the tip. I'd rather you weren't using those if we're not writing on the board. If you can grab that and put the tip back on. The cap. There we go. We're on this one. This one. And we are on that one. And then for tonight, your homework, I want you to pick up your top 3 of each one. So I want you to find your top 3. You don't have to say first, second, and third. I want you to just find the 3 arguments that are about something true, but badly argued. So the 3 best versions of that. Make a comment underneath it and say, +1, comma, you're voting for it. And you know, say what it is. Bad argument about something true. And then pick your top 3 for the other kind. You know, good argument for something false, +1. Just a little vote, little comment, because the second thing I want to see, are any of the arguments misidentified? Does somebody think that this is a good argument about something false when it's actually a bad argument about something true? So vote for your, you got 6 votes in total, 3 for each. Go through tonight and read through them all, pick out which ones you like. And next we were on the, all the way back here, the doctor-patient relationship, the paternalistic and priestly model. We've done the collegial model where they come together as equal partners. And then we're doing a contractual model. The contractual model is when you literally contract them to heal certain conditions. So this is a US model in many cases. You get hired to your job has a contract with a healthcare provider, and they say, we're going to treat these things. And they'll have in the contract, we will treat all of these things. What's really good about this model? Well, I'll let you finish writing it down. Yes?
That like you can like get what you want, like directly.
You can get what you want directly. You know what's covered. So it's nice and clear. Yes?
There's no like miscommunication.
There's no miscommunication. Yep.
Well, it'd also be good too because then like everything that's supposed to happen would be like listed in the contract. So there's like really no debate or argument for if they do something wrong.
If who does something wrong?
Like if the plumber does something wrong,
Right.
but then they try and argue and be like, no, you told me this one thing. So
Yeah.
it'd be like, no,
Yeah.
it's all in the contract.
Yeah, this is the contract. And if you're the plumber and the customer says, hey, you should do this, and they're like, you told me to do this. You can't now add on things afterwards. So yeah, contracts are used obviously in construction. You want to hire someone to do something. You want to hire a teacher to teach you about a specific course. You want to have a chef to make a particular meal. You get to decide what's covered, what's not covered, what kind of meal, all those things. For healthcare, same thing, clarity, we can see what's going on. What might there be, what kind of problem might there be with a contract for healthcare? Yep.
Oh wait, could be misleading. Is that a problem or no?
In what way would it be misleading? It might be,
I don't
but
know.
I don't know what you mean.
Maybe it's like, what if they like worded something strangely or something?
The
That's
wording of
racist.
the contract will matter. Yep. Archie?
Is it because like if further issues arise that aren't included in the contract, then you're gonna have a new contract to be treated for it, or
Well,
or not be treated for it?
Or not be treated for it. If it's not in the contract, you don't have to be treated for it. There and there, yep.
Just if there's like small litter or something, you might get like scammed. These people don't read.
The
people
fine
don't
print?
read 60-page contract. So
Yeah. The contracts can be huge, just signing onto some websites and things. And there's pages and pages that I know nobody reads. Similar when you get a job. You get a job, you have a choice over what contract you sign? No, if you're building a house, you can put out bids and you can get any contractor you want to come and do that if they're willing to do it for that price. But if you were going for a job, you're stuck with whatever contract your company has. So you don't actually have a lot of choice in what you're going to sign.
Is it hard to get a contract modified or changed?
Yes, well,
Like
both
for-
sides have to agree to it.
Like if you're a doctor and you're treating a patient,
Yeah.
and then it's like in the contract, but then like he like starts having a stroke or a seizure on the operating table, or he needs like an emergency procedure done, and it's not in the contract. It's like, would you just be allowed to go through and do it, or no? Because of the contract.
The contract is for what's paid for. So doctors will still treat your stroke, but if you don't have it in the contract, you'll just be charged for it rather than the insurance company. The insurance company will just refuse to pay. There's a particular phrase that this became famous for. This was almost, I think, maybe the single most important issue from what eventually became what's derogatorily known as Obamacare. If you ask people, would you like this type of health care, and you called it managed health care, people would report yes. If you called it Obamacare, they would report no, because of all the stuff that was going on. But the phrase is, a lot of insurance company were starting to add the phrase pre-existing conditions. So they don't want to have to pay for it. If you already have something, why should they have to pay something you already have? They are willing to pay for things that happen while you're employed. But if you have a pre-existing condition, they don't want to pay for that. So if you have a job and you would like to work for someone else, and while you're at your first job, you've developed diabetes. And then you go to your second job, they're like, well, we're not going to cover that because it's a pre-existing condition. Or you were born with a condition. They don't want to pay for that. That's a pre-existing condition, we don't have to cover it. And so much became uncovered that people started getting angry about healthcare. And so they actually put in laws to ensure that pre-existing conditions can be covered. I see some contractual models pop up when people will talk. I think one Reddit question was, how long did you have to save up for to have your first child? And people talk about having to save up $20,000 so that they can pay, they have insurance, but to pay the deductible and the possibility of emergency care and all the deductibles that are going along with that. And then you watch the Canadians respond and they talk about the parking fees. They're vastly different. So if you have something unforeseen that's not in the contract, the doctor has a right not to treat it, or, because that's not quite fair to, some models will do that, or insurance company won't pay for it. And so a doctor may ethically feel, well, I have to treat it. And it has gotten quite granular. If you have a contract, what the insurance company will do is they'll go to doctors and say, we want you to be part of our insurance, we will pay you. And so they'll designate certain doctors and hospitals as under their care model. And you can only go to those hospitals and doctors. So if you show up in an ambulance to the wrong hospital, you're going to get charged for that. They'll still treat you, but your insurance won't cover it. And that has it's quite a bit ethically dubious. When you have a contractual model and you're building a house, that is entirely something that's up to you. Nobody's life depends on that. You don't have to put on an addition. You don't have to remodel the kitchen. And you have time, ability, and energy to shop around. If you show up in an ambulance, I don't see any possibility of you going, wait a minute, how much do you charge? And how much do you charge? And I want to go to 3-4 other hospitals to see how much they charge. Anybody who's ever seen a film on what different hospitals charge in the US will find an MRI will cost $80,000 at one hospital, and it will cost $2,000 at another hospital. And those are real numbers, like it can vary that much. And that's because the charges are largely made up. They charge a high amount so they can tell the insurance company, we're giving you a 90% discount. And they're actually only charging $8,000 for the $90,000 fee. And that way everybody feels they're getting a deal. But if you don't have that insurance, they charge you the $90,000. So there's been, and they're still working through this. American Managed Healthcare was trying to take some steps towards to fix it, and they're aware that there's current problems, and they're taking more steps. It is unfortunately also a political issue, so everything keeps going around in circles. From an ethical standpoint, it's human life involved. We have to treat things. If someone is in front of you and they're dying and you have the skills to save them, just like the person that was walking over the bridge and sawing all the drowning kindergartners, there is a requirement for you to do something to save a human life. In Canada, that philosophy extends to suing. I'm sure you've, but like, oh, this happened to you, you could sue. If you sue in the States, it is related to cost. So you can sue for millions and millions of dollars because that will be worth a certain amount. In Canada, you can't. So for example, if I'm on the job here and they install the new building with bad safety standards and I'm using the hydrogen tank and it wasn't sealed properly and it falls over and rips my arm off, I'm like, I'm going to sue the school for $100 million. The courts would be like, no, you've lost your arm, but your arm is priceless. If it's priceless, you can't put a cost to it. Your life will never be the same without your arm. No amount of money will ever make up for that. However, your employment will suffer. So what would you have made with 2 good arms over the course of your lifetime? And there is some compensations for like how much pain are you going to be in, suffering, that sort of things, but they're not large. And then they give you the equivalent, they do what they call, the view in Canada, they make you whole again. You have what you would have had monetarily with your arm, without your arm. But they don't give you extra. There's not a lot of extra. So you can't sue for millions and millions. In the US, you can. You can say this causes unbelievable trauma, and they have prices, like a leg's worth 10 million, both your hands are worth 20 million. If you're a famous violinist, it'll be worth more. They can put in really high price tags. And the attitude towards it is wrong. If you're in the US, if you go give blood, they will pay you money to give blood because that's worth something, and so they will resell it. In Canada, it's considered to be priceless. So they only accept from donors. You have to give it away for free. It is voluntary because they couldn't possibly pay you enough. You get a cookie. You do get a cookie. And research-wise, generally Canada has been happy with that because we find that donors that are donating blood for money, what might be the problems with people who are donating blood for money?
They need money.
Yes?
Oh, but they might not be like the best because they're just looking for money. So
They are just looking for money. And if you have people who are, then if you've ever, I don't know what the donation age is now. I think you're about old enough you could possibly donate for the first time. How many of you have donated blood before? A few of you. Yes? No. How could you be confused? Never mind. Yes, question?
They can have like people who come in and draw blood every week so they can make money.
Donate too often. You can find instructions on how to fake who you are simply to get paid for donating blood. That is one of the problems. Your blood may be donated by someone who is desperate. So when you are filling out the form to give blood, they will ask you a whole bunch of questions. Have you been engaged in these risky activities? Have you been in these particular countries in which there's bloodborne diseases in this time period? And there's a whole bunch of questions. And if there's a profit motive, now there's an incentive to lie and the blood will be unsafe. So they don't want people lying. They find they get the safest blood if you're just donating out of the goodness of your heart. People who are donating out of the goodness of their heart tend not to lie as much.
So why would just someone like go out and decide to donate their blood when their blood's like not special in any way? Like when so many other people like, I just don't even see what the purpose is of donating.
Well, not everybody does, but I know that other people require blood, and like say if you're in a traffic accident, you may require several units of blood.
Like do they? If someone like needs blood, will they go out and tell people to give blood, or is there just like a steady stream of blood coming in at all times, even if it's not needed?
There's a steady stream of blood coming in at all times.
But it's always needed.
It's always neat. Sometimes there has been times when there's been a glut, like there's too much, but they never want to say like stop, because then when they need some, they won't necessarily get it. So sometimes your blood is wasted. I don't have a particularly rare blood type. I'm A positive, which is like one of the more common blood types. The most common is O positive, but they get a steady stream. Now they have noticed the next generation, your generation, is giving blood at a lower level. They don't know, maybe people got out of the habit over COVID because even older people dropped because nobody was going anywhere, and maybe we're not picking up the new habit. They do need to advertise more than to get it up again. But previously, they've never had trouble donating blood. People have been happy to give it because they know that society needs it. Yeah.
Does our body make blood?
Yeah. You literally make blood. Yeah. You don't get it from any. I mean, on a practical level,
How do you get your blood tasting?
Well, I just felt like if you give too much, we'll not be able to give any more. It's like,
no. They, I mean,
Chop off my arm.
if you go to give blood for the first time, there will be a little stand that says you must be at least this tall to give blood. Please do not ignore that sign, and make sure you're not in really high platform or high heel shoes, because they absolutely can take too much by accident. So I was at UVic in my second year. I went to give blood because I regularly give blood, and a friend of mine wanted to come. She had never given blood before. On a good day, in heels, maybe she's 4'6", 4'7".
Is your friend a child?
She walked by this sign, and she was tall enough, but she was wearing platform high heels. So the nurses didn't notice that her height didn't match, like shoes, height, didn't notice that, drew her blood, and then she got up, and then immediately keeled over, because she had given a little bit too much. Now, again, even if we take that much out of someone, you're not going to die, but her blood pressure dropped too much. They made sure that she was rehydrated. They got a little thing of saline solution because they took too much liquid out of her. And she was told she is not allowed to give blood. And if she ever shows up again, she has a big X on her file. Unless she can prove she's tall enough. If you faint while giving blood, they don't want you there. Height-wise, too dangerous on you. Fainting-wise, they don't want you to fall over and have the thing rip out of your arm or something. Yeah.
In America, if you get like paid for donating
You
blood,
have to pronounce it right.
America.
America, yep.
In America, like since you get like paid for donating blood sometimes,
Yep.
is it like the more like if you have like a rare or more rare blood type, do you get paid more, or is it kind of?
Yes, in some places, yes.
Oh, really?
So
How much more? Is it like?
I don't know, but it can. O negative is the best one to donate to commands the highest price.
Is that universal?
It's universal blood. Anybody can take it, and they always need it because you can give it before you blood type someone. So you just give it and not even worry about their blood type if it's an emergency. Yeah, they always want it.
So is there like an underground market for blood in the U.S. for like people like trying to like donate blood?
As far as I know, no one kidnaps people, takes their blood, and tries to sell it. It does remind me of the police were really upset with me just because I donated blood. I don't see what the problem is. I had several buckets. They take it directly from you. They don't want you. They're not going to accept some random weird bag that you brought. Okay.
About the black market.
As far as I know, there's not there's black market for like organy things, but not for blood specifically.
Have you ever been on the black market with you?
No.
That's a lie. He can't tell you that.
I don't even know where I would find it.
The black market, the internet.
What? I think the internet's a fad. It will go away soon. Okay. Cheers. Wait, turn around. Okay. In terms of this, everybody has this down?
Yes.
Okay, so unforeseen, the doctor has a right not to treat it. Legal, particularly in the US, and technically legal in Canada. Despite our healthcare model, it is nowhere in our constitution or excuse me, if you could put the cup down. It's nowhere in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms that healthcare is a right. They could change the model tomorrow. It would entirely fit within our existing laws. We've just decided not to yet. And the reason being is human life is not quantifiable into price. There are some things that if you put it into an economic solution, it's not worth a cost-benefit analysis. One of those things is firefighting. We did have a time where you had to buy insurance. If you didn't have insurance, the firefighters wouldn't put out your house fire. So early 18th century, when firefighting brigades are first going, they go around and like buy my house insurance. If you didn't buy it, that way if your house went on fire, they didn't put out the fire. They only put out the fire if your insurance premiums were paid. And there's a lot of writing from that time, and really strong suggestive evidence that if you didn't buy the insurance, they may also have set your house on fire some weeks later, just to encourage general giving to the insurance fund. Cities quickly realized if we have uncontrolled fires, insurance or no insurance, that destroys the city. It doesn't matter if that house was insured or not. We need that fire out. It could set fire to other houses. The amount of damage is too high, so you pay for it with your taxes. Taxes are the solution for things that we shouldn't put into capitalism. Don't think those ones were too useful, and we don't have that much time. There's the one, donating things. You've donated 14 kidneys. Something a little wrong has happened. I wish I'd captured it. This reminded me of it. There was a talk show host who is known to be vehemently anti-Canadian and anti-healthcare. And he proposed that all Americans, tired of dealing with the cost, instead of all the solutions that they're making, that everybody should actually just donate to a fund and we'll use that money to pay for the people who are sick.
Is that not in taxes?
But to make sure that it worked, he was arguing that everybody should be made to donate to it. And he reinvented taxes. It was amazing to watch, and he's never addressed it. After that, he just quickly moved on once everybody found it. Right now, the #1 insurance company in the U.S. apparently is GoFundMe, because if you can't afford healthcare, that's what you get. Come on. Do we have it up? I think this is old. I want newer data for this. One of the problems too is it does make it really expensive. So in terms of total health expenditure, this is not the ranking I want. Where is it? I will get it out for next day because there's enough. And we'll do the next one.
I have a question about the science essay. So it's due on Thursday, right?
Yes. Which one?
The science essay or GMO essay?
Right. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Is it like, okay, so is it one full page of a reflective essay on like one of the questions, and then you said like another page on the citation?
Yes. It's only supposed to be one page. That page doesn't include your citations. Just put your citations on a separate page, whatever ones you want.
Okay, so I include like what they said, but then like the next page I say.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld.
No, APA citations. So if you get anything from a different source,
Yeah.
you have to cite it. APA standard. You've done that.
So
in other
like
classes.
yeah, like works cited.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. So you
okay,
just have a
okay.
separate works cited page.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you called it works cited. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just a reference page.
Okay.
Math class. Math class?
Yeah, math club.
You're back in here today.
AP Calculus. Advanced topics.